Hi friends, welcome to my channel ABC Code. Today I'll be discussing about Kafka. So here before I proceed with Kafka installation process and how can you implement it using Python programming language, I will explain that why Kafka came into the scenario and what type of real-time problem it has addressed. To explain that, I have taken one traditional application which is actually a prototype of an e-commerce application. It has three back-to-back process. The first one is read event and stores. It takes the input from the outside of the application and store those events into a table. The downstream process packaging to a query to this table after a particular interval and read some events which are stored into this table and do the packaging work for those entries. Once the packaging has been done for those entries, and it stores into another table. And another downstream process delivery, it also do query to this packaging output table and takes the events for which the packaging has been done, and it fires the delivery application. Once the delivery is done, it stores the results that delivery has been done in this table. So here we have these three processes, but the downstream process for read event and store does not has any communication for any event has been read by this read event and store application. The delivery application has no update whenever the packaging process has completed any of the packaging activities. It looks good, but it is not real time. I mean, there is some time loss in between any events has been generated and its corresponding downstream process has been executed. As a result, there is a long time gap in between the events has been received by the application and the corresponding delivery has been completed for that event. So this type of time gap is not acceptable in today's life when we are thinking about applications like Blinkit and many other applications which gives a commitment like he will do the delivery within a very small time gap. In place of that, if we have an architecture like this where this is the process 1, this is a broker server which actually store the message and pass it, and this is the process 2. And how it works: whenever any events come to the process 1, it do its activity with that events and send the output this broker server, and whenever this broker server get a message instantly collected by the process 2 and do its activity with that particular data. Here you can understand there is no idle time in between these two processes. Things are real time. I would like to show you another diagram that will exactly replicate the previous application that I have shown you using Oracle database, and this time it will be using this Kafka architecture. This is the architecture that I have tried to show using Kafka. On a high level, Kafka has one broker server and multiple producers and consumer instance. In this application, this is the first process, which is a replica of read event and store, which takes the request from outside world, and after processing it sends the message to broker server. The sending mechanism of the output of this process is done by a producer instance attached with this process, and the downstream application, which is packaging, is attached with a consumer which is configured to accept the message which is sent by this producer only, and this configuration is done by the logic of topic. That is, the producer send the message with a particular topic and the consumer is configured to accept the message with that topic only, and that way we can differentiate different message from different producer and accepted by different consumers. That way the whole flow is done in real time. To work with Kafka, we have to download the Kafka binary from Apache website. This is the website. From that you can download this binary. So what I have already downloaded. Now just unzip that. This is a tar.gz file. You have to enter it and unzip it again. So here I'll be extract here. So it's got extracted. Now you just rename it and keep that folder at C drive. So like here and the C drive, I have kept it into this folder Kafka. So there, if you go to that, then in the bin folder there are all the .sh file. I'm using the Windows for Windows system, so I'll be looking inside Windows folder. There you can see all the batch file is there, so you can use those batch file to run all our producer servers, zookeepers and the consumer services. So before we do that, we will be going to the config folder. There we will change some the log directory path, consumer properties, zookeeper properties and server properties. Yes, if we show that, open it, yeah, and then go to that search for log, and like you can see that I have changed the path already. That will be actually, this part will generally get populated by TMP. You have to provide a particular folder name which is existing at your system, okay, and also you just change the zookeeper config property. There you can see a data directory. There you need to provide the data directory using a correct part at your system. Then you are done. So to start Kafka services, you need to start the zookeeper services, and then you have to start the Kafka server. So for that, here you can see this is the command we can use. Zookeeper dash server dash start the batch file. This is the batch file we have to execute, and the zookeeper properties is the properties file that we just have edited. So that we have to use to start the zookeeper service. So zookeeper service has been started. I have to keep that command line windows, CLI windows activated. I just minimize that. Then you have to start the Kafka server. So for Kafka server, you have to run this batch file kafka-server start.bat file, and use that server.properties file and run it. So now our Kafka server, that is the broker, message broker, is okay and running. Okay, now we can start one producer and one receiver. For that, you can use this kafka-console-producer.batch file. Then you have to provide the broker list. The broker list actually the IP and port where the server actually started. Kafka server services started on default port 9092. So we are providing the broker list localhost colon 9092. One server is actually started, so I'm providing this, and the topic I'm setting it as test1. So this is the producer service I'm starting. So it will be producing message with for topic is test1. So I should have one consumer service which will be looking into the same broker server and looking for same topic, and this is the consumer which will be consuming messages, the real-time messages or the events from the producer with topic equal to test1. See, whatever message it is producing, it is sending, the consumer is receiving those messages almost instantly. So now we can use this thing in program, and we can do a downstream activities. We can run a downstream activities whenever any type of events has been generated by producer service. Okay, let's check this. How can you create this thing using programming? So for that I have some piece of code already I have written. Here you can see to work with this Kafka, you need to install this Kafka-Python, this module. So you can use the sweep install Kafka-Python to install this thing, and that will give you one module is called, one package is called Kafka. So from that you can import this thing, this Kafka consumer and Kafka producer class, and you can create one instance of Kafka producer for that server. That's Kafka server, and this is the version. And here when we are creating the producer of the producer instance, we are not giving any topic, because any particular producer may send different topics of message. Well, I'll be starting this module. It will loop through a range of 10 and produce and send one message. Send one message with topic equal to test, and it will give a message content will be someone dash test. Then it will be waiting for 2 seconds. So I have created one consumer for the same. So here I have used this consumer class to create a consumer instance. A consumer instance is generated or created for a particular topic. If we are generating two types of message, like here in the producer one, there we can see we are creating one message with topic equal to test 1, and here we are producing message with topic equal to test, right? And now if we have only one consumer which can take the message with topic test only, then we are supposed to see only the message with topic test. However, the producer is sending two types of message to the broker. So I'm closing here all this producer and this consumer thing what we have developed using command line. So now I'll be, so these are the thing here. So you can see it easily that it is sending the whenever any event has been sent, and the consumer, this is actually, you can see, you can say this is a downstream process. So whenever I'm getting a message, this print operations has been executed, right? So this is the downstream process. So that way we can do a real-time application, real-time executions whenever any message we are getting. So let's check it execution. Here I'm starting one one producer there, and here I'll be starting another producer for one consumer. So if I start the consumer here, consumer.py file, this is, here we have created one consumer instance that will collect all the messages with topic test, whatever messages broker will have. So here I'm starting the consumer, and there I will be starting producer. This is one, and here, so here if you see that Kafka producer is actually producing message or sending message with topic test, and producer 1 is actually producing the message with test 1. So this both the two producers are sending messages towards the broker. Let's start this test, and this is the test 1. Let's see what happens. See, we are getting message with test only. However, this both the producers are generating or sending messages with both the topics. So we are getting only those message for which topics is test. Now if we start the consumer for test 1, let's see, if we start another consumer for test kafka consumer 1, now if we run this producers on this producer, now I can see this consumer is accepting data from producer which is actually topic with test, and this is the consumer which is taking the message with topic test 1. So that way we can collect message with different topics from producers, and based on that we can fire different downstream processes. So that's all for today's session. Thank you. See you again.